Yes, guys, hello and welcome back to the SpursRelated YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and yeah, staying safe out there. Lots of Tottenham news to bring for you tonight. Obviously, the main headline is Clement Lenglet of Barcelona has agreed to sign for Tottenham Hotspur on a loan deal. I'm sure we'll get into the breakdown of how that deal will work and potentially where he could fit in within our starting 11, or will he be a squad rotation player? Who knows? That's up for debate. The Spurs relatables will be in full voice on this one, I'm sure, as well as the man to the right, which is Jack. Jack, how you doing, mate?
Mate, I'm good. Looking forward to talking all things Tottenham, as I always say, because let's be honest, it's a nice evening. Looks like we've got another edition, maybe two. So, yeah, James, looking forward to having a chat about it and maybe breaking down some positions, see how they can fit in.
Great, sounds great. There's already 20 of you across all socials. Keep smashing the support, keep smashing the like button if you want to see more transfer update videos. And of course, quizzes, vlogs, watch-alongs, all this content coming to you guys. Smash the subscribe and smash the like button. But before we get into things, before we talk Clement Lenglet, Jed Spence, and potentially any other links that have happened today that I am myself not even fully updated with, I'm sure Jack is well up to speed. Let's get into who's here. George was here first today. George Longstaff, hope you're doing well, mate. Thanks for joining. The coffee man himself, Ben Kaufman, hope you're doing well, mate. Thanks for joining. Steve John B saying, has he signed? Lenglet has signed, not officially through Spurs official, but our tier one sources, of course, Fabrizio Romano and other sources have said that it's here we go. It's done. It's a done deal. He will be signing from Barcelona. Well, it's already done. I think it's subject to a medical and probably a work permit, but I'm sure that would be absolutely fine. Vele Jr. is saying first. I think he may have been third on YouTube, but you know what? I like the ambition, Vele. Says, hello, COYS. Always good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining.
Love the passion, Vele.
Leo's in here saying, You'd Army. Absolutely love it, Leo. Always good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining. Joe's saying, smash subscribe to celebrate the fact we are watching Love Island. Yeah, I mean, Jack, I know you're a big Love Island fan, so I mean,
yeah, you had to get there first before I did, because we all know James is absolutely gutted and he's got it on ITV Plus. But anyway,
and Ellie's saying, "Hey James and Jack, are we having a heat wave of players coming at Hotspur way? Woo!" And here we go. Absolutely love it, Ellie. Always love the passion. Thanks for joining. But there is, of course, many of you joining in throughout. Get your comments, get your thoughts in. Are you guys happy with Clement Lenglet? How good do you think he is? I'm certainly not completely convinced on this one, but maybe Jack will steer me towards thinking he is a good player, because apparently he was better at Sevilla than he was at Barcelona. I'm sure we can talk all about that as well. But Jack, do you want to quickly give us the rundown on this transfer today, as I'm sure you know the details more inside out than myself?
Well, James, you know me, I can't stop looking at Twitter. I love the latest news. I'm always checking, and yes, I can break it down for you. Fabrizio Romano has finally, it's been a long time coming. I think a lot of Spurs fans have expected this transfer to go through. But today, we have got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. And you know, when that happens, that means they're going to sign. There's no stopping them. It's almost as good as like some clubs are announcing the signing along with Fabrizio's here we go, because everyone knows how iconic that phrase is. So, yes, Clement Lenglet will be signing. I'll give James, should I give some details on the how the deal's going to work? Is that all right with you? Am I right to steal the headline? Right, so interesting stuff. And our good friend Andre kind of called this one. I was quite surprised. So, fair play to Andre, who can't be with us today. I think he's working, but he has called it, and there is no option to buy on this deal, actually. So it's a straight loan deal. I think Spurs are covering around 80% of his salary, around £115,000 a week is what apparently Spurs are paying, and I think a £6 million loan fee. This has been by a few sources, not just Fabrizio Romano. So this looks to be how the deal is going to run, and no option to buy, because Spurs apparently are looking to spend big next summer on one of Gvardiol or Bastoni, as they believe they can sign him then. So it looks like Lenglet is almost a stopgap this year, unless he really impresses, which would be amazing. We want to see that. But it looks like we'll spend big on a centre-back next year, or maybe even January.
Okay, and it's just a 1-year loan, right?
Just a 1-year straight loan. Quite a lot of money in wages, and £6 million loan fees isn't the cheapest, let's be honest. But then again, He's a guy with that experience. He's been a fantastic player at Sevilla. Conte is actually called Lenglet. It's important to say. So he's clearly a player that he quite likes. And I don't think Conte, let's be honest, if Conte wants him, I think we all should want him.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he can turn him into more of a player than he was at Barcelona. Because for me, I never saw him play well for Barcelona. Every time I watched him, I thought this guy was all over the place. I don't think he's necessary. Apparently, he's a ball playing centre back. I just don't see it. I mean, I think he gets a lot more time in La Liga on the ball than he will in the Premier League. I think it's an interesting move. I'll be honest. It's not one. I mean, out of the 5 transfers, it's the one I'm least buzzing with. If I'm being deadly honest. I mean, I don't know. I try and stay positive about the signings, but I don't understand this one.
Relatable. You've got to be like Sean here. Say it's the next big thing. He's going to be brilliant.
He's not though. He's not the next big thing. I'm just being honest. I genuinely do not think he is the next big thing. I think I'd rather have Ben Davies starting over Clement Lenglet to start with.
Okay, I would flip this question around to you, and I would say, be honest, because I'll be completely honest with you as well. Do you watch Lenglet week in, week out?
Did you watch week in, week out? But I've seen him play, and I don't think he's as good as people think.
I saw Kulusevski play for Juventus sometimes, and I thought he was a good player. But did I think he'd be as good as he is now? No, we've got to be honest. Bentancur would be as good. Probably not. And they've fitted Spurs like a glove. And everyone's seen, I think that I'll quickly want to mention this game because I thought it was incredible. Did you see that Kulusevski podcast he did, I think, with a couple of mates?
Yeah.
I think he's got the charisma. He's been fantastic at Spurs. And I think Paratici and Conte are also looking at their personality profile and how they are in the dressing room as well. And bringing in someone like that, maybe Lenglet is a really good in the dressing room as well and that believes in himself. And if Conte has had a phone call with him, you can kind of gauge whether they believe they're going to be good enough. And if Lenglet's got the confidence and Conte can bring that out of him, because let's not forget, football is a massive confidence-based game. And if he's sitting on the bench for Barcelona and just no one believes in him, no one's putting that arm around his shoulder and just saying, look, I believe in you, you're going to be my starting centre-back or you're going to play in the Champions League. I think that's a real big thing in modern-day football. So I really believe I'm optimistic on this one. I think the underlying stats I've said many times are positive. If anyone's going to bring the best out of a player, it's definitely Antonio Conte.
Okay. I love the optimism, Jay. I
can't swear in the Spurs related. I know I can swear you, but James is a tough one to crack.
David is in saying thoughts on Lenglet. David, firstly, thanks for joining. That was our initial thoughts. I'm sure we'll be talking much more about it, but thanks for joining. Joe's saying I'd rather watch Wanyama's goal v Liverpool on repeat than watch a load of tan Muppets talk game. Back to the Love Island chat, unbelievable. Why does
we all know he's got it on his phone right now, just making sure, seeing who they're pulling for a chat. Let's not lie here, Joe.
Who I think this meant to say who goes now Lenglet is signed is a great question from Kev. Does Davinson Sanchez go potentially, or would you say we have to keep the squad depth here, Jack?
I think it's a very good question because originally I was thinking, well, let's be honest, we don't need to get rid of because it's like building a team that's because let's be honest, there was a lot of injuries as well. But I think it's about building a squad that's capable that can play in any competition. But then again, saying that, you don't want to have too much of a bloated squad because people are going to be unhappy. It might create a bad atmosphere in the dressing room. So maybe someone like Tanganga, he's been linked with a move to AC Milan, James, from Damasio. I don't know if you've seen that. Maybe someone like Joe Rodon wants to get out the door and get regular game time. Maybe Davinson Sanchez, he's still holding a lot of value. Let's not forget he's still young and a good proven centre half. We get a lot of money for him. I do believe one of them will have to go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. I think we'll hear stuff about outgoings. Of course, we've got to cover as well. We weren't live the day it got announced, but Steven Bergwijn going to Ajax for 30 million euros. That will also be interesting as well. In terms of maybe do we need another forward? That can be a little talking point later. But let's get through some of the comments because a lot of people are asking us about this. People are saying exactly this is a good point from Leo. People are saying exactly what was said about Bentancur and Kulu not being, top players. It's a good point. Eddie saying, when are you putting the super chats on, lads? It's another great question, not related to Lenglet, but a good question on the channel. So the requirements you have to get a certain amount of subscribers and a certain amount of watch hours. We're literally like a couple of 100 watch hours away from being able to do all the monetization and everything else. So we will let you know when that is possible. But obviously, thanks for asking and showing interest to help grow the channel. I don't really rate Lenglet, but numbers are needed with the Champions League, and his experience will be useful. Even he doesn't always start. I think it will help on the training pitch. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, totally agree with Joe. I like to think he knows his stuff, and Joe's always quite optimistic considering he's a Liverpool fan. So I do agree with him. And
apart from where he's put that, but yeah. Lenglet is awful currently unless he improves under Conte, says Exiati. Always good to see you, mate. David saying, do you actually know the hatred he was shown by Barca, which affected him badly? I'm not surprised. The fans in Spain are awful. Like,
oh
Madrid,
my word! We're talking about a legend, probably for Real Madrid, scoring winning goals in Champions League finals, and we've all seen how he's treated. So I can only imagine a player like Lenglet, who hasn't had that effect, how badly they're going to treat him. And let's be honest, at Spurs, I think even with Antonio Conte, he won a couple of games, and every time we'd be singing his name. So maybe fans, if we get behind him and we show him, and he shows us that he cares for the club, could see a completely different player, and that's why I'm optimistic, James.
Yeah. What Conte wants, Conte gets, and Lenglet is a baller, James. His passing is on point, and more to the point, he moves the ball quicker and more accurately. Jack, do you agree with this comment?
Yeah, totally agree, Ellie. Comfortable on the ball, can switch the play. I think that's what we need, a ball-playing centre-half. And like you say, if he does gain his confidence and Conte can bring the best out of him, I think we're going to see just that.
But do you think there was better ball playing? My question is, do you think there was better ball playing centre backs than Lenglet? Let me give you an example. And I don't know if we'll still sign this kind of caliber of player, but to me, this is filling the left centre back spot. We were talking about Torres for months. We were talking about Bastoni for months. We were talking about Bremer for months. Has this just, to me, this is a bit of a, I don't know, deflated balloon in terms of like we were almost not promised, but we were getting so hopeful over these three players I just mentioned, and even at one point,
I totally agree
as well.
We did say we were going to spend a lot of money, 100%, James. I totally understand where you're coming from, but I honestly, recent times, maybe I'm being too optimistic, maybe I'm too much of a. But let's be honest, it's positive times at Tottenham, and I do believe if Bastoni was there to buy, if Gavardi was there to buy, we wouldn't think twice. We'd put the money, but we've not been able to convince these players, or they want to stay in their at their current club. Fair enough. So I don't think it's a matter of that. I think we're buying Lenglet because it's a smart deal. It makes sense, and we can bring the best out of him. I think we wanted him last summer. We've managed to progress as a club, so we can bring him in now. So I just think it's a deal that makes sense. And Paratici loves a deal like that. We've seen what he did at Juventus. He brought Cristiano Ronaldo in at Juventus on a cut fee or a free transfer. Like, he loves a free transfer, like Adrian Rabiot. He brings in like Aaron Ramsey. Obviously, that was a terrible signing. But we're talking about he brings in high caliber players on a free transfer. And Lenglet is not going to command a big fee. And he thinks Conte likes him. So it just makes sense for all parties.
But I know we can't confirm these wage amounts. But 120k, did you say, like a week? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but 115,000 a week potentially, but you're not paying 60 million. So you could be paying 60 million for Bastoni and 100 grand a week for a player that might.
That's worth it. That's worth it, though. We know that's worth it.
Worth it. But Lenglet, like, I'd rather spend £100,000 on a free transfer. But if you're buying Mark Guehi, who I think is a very good player, but he's unproven as well. You could be paying a load of money on a transfer fee and ridiculous wages. Lenglet for a year on a loan, it just makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm kind of agreeing with. I think I'm in the boat on my own on this one because I'm personally not that buzzing about this transfer. Like, it's like it's been like building up and up. Like Basuma, wow, amazing, amazing deal, amazing signing, amazing price. Richarlison, decent business. You convinced me on that one. I'm getting excited about Richarlison. There's no way you're hyping me up about Lenglet, Jack. There's no way. I mean, Lenglet is genuinely like one of Barcelona's worst centre backs. I think that's not even harsh saying that. Like,
okay, but Barcelona, don't forget, we're talking about the Catalan giants. We're talking about the best team in the world.
But they're renowned for never having a decent centre back pairing. Like, they've still got Gerard Piqué. Gerard Piqué is about 72 years old now. Like, they've been using him for about 30 years.
Modern day times, but you can't tell me Barcelona in the past with players like Puyol, Gerard Piqué. We're talking about some of the best centre halves of all time.
You just told me two in 20 years. Name me some more.
Two world-class players. We're talking about Puyol and Gerard Piqué. You're telling me they're not great players?
But then it goes to like this, Clement Lenglet. Like,
Yeah, that's because I find. Yeah, but Clement Lenglet at Sevilla was one of the hotly tipped centre halves, and obviously it hasn't quite worked out. But to go to Barcelona, you've still got to have something about you, James. We're not going to get signed for Barcelona, are we? So Clement
I
Lenglet's
don't know. I
clearly.
reckon I'll fancy myself over Longley. Anyway, brilliant news. Good squad depth this season. Also had my final sports day today. I scored 2 goals in 3 games. Absolute baller, are we? From
Yeah,
corners
so
as a centre back. There I scraped my knee during a knee slide. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well done, I think it's hilarious that we're saying that he can't compete with Davies. Seriously, Longley is different class to Davies. David's absolutely loving it. I think he's in the Longley fan club with you, Jack.
I think everyone is just a bit more optimistic. They're seeing the light. They're looking at the underlying stats, James, and I think they're getting a bit more positive. I think we need to bring that side out of you, James, because it's maybe not something to get excited about, but definitely not something to be pessimistic.
Okay, there's so many comments coming through. I'm a bit behind the comments. Let's catch up. Barca are so toxic. They expect so much. This Joe. Barca fans are entitled brats. Couldn't give a damn about their opinions. They're superstars and treat them awfully. Temper says, I'm buzzing. When was the last time a manager got pre-season with new signings already at a club? Conte is going to work his magic. David said Longley's passing is on a different planet to Davies. Davies' distribution is not up to Champions League football.
I disagree. I think when we're talking about a player like Lenglet, we don't need to discredit Ben Davies. He was phenomenal last year, and his passing through the lines last year was brilliant in my opinion. The amount of times I think Conte's really instilled that in him. He picked up so many attacking roles and would find a ball straight to the midfielders. And someone like, don't forget, Davies was, maybe you wouldn't recognise it as much because he was passing to Harry Winks in the midfield. Next year he's got Basuma. So who can turn out tight spaces, drop a shoulder, find the next pass. I'm sure Davies has got that quality, so I wouldn't be discrediting him as much. I'm just looking forward to them competing with each other.
Yeah, fair enough. He's saying whenever I talk to mature Barca fans, they show a fairly good analysis of him, and most of them claim that he's a great ball playing centre back. Improvement is needed, and it depends on his mindset. Good little inside analysis from Army. I think we need another left centre back though. On top of Longley says Sandro, especially because there's no buy clause in the contract. This is exactly what we're saying. You know, like what happens if he's good?
I've got a massive feeling that we are going to buy another centre half, just because the amount of reports we've seen, the amount of players we've been linked with. Unless we definitely can't get any of the three, Gavardi or Bastoni or Pau Torres, I could see Pau Torres joining Spurs. Just because I think a couple of weeks ago, Lyle Thomas or then Michael Bridge said Spurs are still in contact with Pau Torres trying to figure out a deal. Don't forget we still got Lo Celso. I'm sure there's something that could be figured out there. And in recent times, you've seen Spurs like to keep their transfer news massively under wraps, like very quiet. They don't want many people to get involved because we saw what happened with the Luis Diaz deal. We saw what happened with the Willian deal. It gets hijacked. The big teams all look at each other's transfer targets because they know they're good players because you've got the best scouting people in the world. So I think Spurs are keeping it quiet and there's going to be a couple of big transfers to come. I honestly believe that.
Okay, and we can work out our net spend and stuff like that in a little bit, Jack, as well, maybe. But the coffee man is saying Longley can be instrumental in the way we want to play with the ball. His ball carrying ability, he's going to thrive. A lot of you very confident about Longley. Maybe you will change my mind. We'll see. I'm not going to change my mind until I've seen this guy play. I honestly, I can't lie.
Yeah. I was saying with Bentancur and Kulusevski, and I think after the first game against Brighton, Kulusevski, people were like, "Oh, he's rubbish." People were saying he's rubbish. He's finished. Why did we sign him?
I said he was slow, but I mean, I still think he's slow. But it doesn't matter. He's class.
And then you gave him 2 games, and then he fit in the system, and then Conte brought him in. And we haven't looked back since. We've got our ginger from Sweden, and he's going to absolutely tear him up like next year because I've got him in my fantasy team as well. So maybe that's a good little idea, James. I'm just putting it out there. Maybe we're thinking, who's up for it? Maybe a Spurs-related fantasy Premier League next year. I'm just putting it out there.
We did it last year, and I came last, so I'm not involved this year. I've retired. I'm done. I don't do fantasy football anymore.
Next time you think Longley so bad. There you are. But moving on.
Ignacio is saying James Maddison's incoming. Oh, I haven't heard much about that, mate, but let's keep an eye on that. Do you have any opinions on Kulu wanting to play for Arsenal?
I've seen it. It's Leo. Don't stress. It's someone making it up. It's rubbish. Kulu does not want to play for Arsenal. It's a fake voiceover for Arsenal fans. Been salty for not being in the Champions League, to be honest. As good as they weren't good enough to beat us, and now they're trying to get our own players to join them, and it's not going to happen.
Tempest thinks we need at least one more centre back or a right back. Then it would be a perfect window. I'm really happy with the business we've done. Listen, I'm still happy with the business we've done. I'm not trying to put a downer on this, but I'm not convinced of Longley. You guys, you can keep convincing me, but I just don't think Longley is the kind of centre back.
Got to see him play. If he shines in pre-season, like you might think he's the next big thing. We've all got. I love a bit of pre-season.
Jack, stop about pre-season. Like I've seen players shine in pre-season that are awful players.
Oh, of course, so have I. But it's still exciting. It's still you still get a rough gauge. Like Lamela was the Messi of pre-season. He scored like 10 goals in 3 games, and I think
that's what I mean. You just proved my point.
Sorry.
Louis saying, evening lads. Louis, always a pleasure to see you, mate. Thanks for your ongoing support. Adrian saying top 3. He thinks, I guess, Spurs will finish. Sandra saying the Catalan Giants who won't exist in 2 to 3 years. Yeah, Spotify digging them out on this one. Bele Junior saying, I think we'll press a baller on the midfield position. Boy from the Lane saying, Sapling boys, hope you're good. We're all good, thanks, mate. Thanks, Boy from the Lane, always joining at the moment. Really appreciate that. He's saying, to be honest with you, I actually think we have something sorted for either Bastoni or Gvardiol next summer. Torres was the 3rd, but went quiet. I think there's a reason. So, yeah, maybe it is a stopgap, like Jack quoted, Andre said. It's a kind of a case of we needed a left centre-back for this season. Jack, I'll be honest, I can't see us signing, that calibre of player this summer unless something comes up. I think that's left centre back done now. I think that's it.
How Torres that calibre of player to you, along with Bastoni and Gvardiol?
Did you just ask me, is Longley up there with Gvardiol and Bastoni?
I said, is Pau Torres?
Oh, yeah, I'd take Pau Torres, 100%. That's what I'm saying. We should have signed either Pau Torres, Bastoni, or Bremer.
And if we were going to sign another centre half, would it be essential one to compete with Eric Dyer now rather than another left centre back?
This summer, I think so. But like I said, I can't see us signing another left centre back. I think we will sign a centre back if anything. But I just think this is the business in terms of you're saying it's clever business because we're going to loan a player for a season, maybe even till we get something sorted in January. I don't think we're going to get a left centre back this summer, like a calibre of player like a Bastoni. It's just not going to happen. And maybe Boy from the Lane's right here. Maybe we'll have something sorted for Bastoni or Gvardiol next summer. Personally, I would much rather Bastoni, but I don't know. Let's see. We might not even. Who knows what's going to happen next season? We don't know where we're going to finish, right, Jack? We can't attract players if we don't do the business. We don't do the business on the pitch. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, agreed.
60 million to their own players in wages. Wow. Ben Davies is in here saying Longley is a scrub. He's gonna be my bench warmer, mate. Dave, I don't even know who this is. Nightcaller saying, hello, mate. How you doing? Davies and Longley complement each other. Davies with defense against attacking teams, and Longley would be the best in low block teams. What do you think of this, Jack?
I think that, yeah, could be right. I couldn't comment on it too much. For me, it's more about, well, actually, no, I do see what you mean, Tempest. I can definitely get behind that. But for me, it's all about seeing how they got on in the first couple of games. And at the end of the day, I think Conte's always going to play who's playing best in training, who's performing the best in the matches. Because I don't think we're going to be swapping too much, maybe in competitions. But when it comes to the Premier League and the Champions League, I think he's just going to go with the best player out of the two.
Okay. Pau Torres is good, but I'd rather wait if we get someone who Conte has at the top of his list. No centre backs coming in after we've done Longley, Spence and Maddison on their way. Everyone's saying about Maddison. Have I been under a rock? Like, what's going on there?
I think everyone's just got it in their head because Harry Winks is linked with Leicester that Maddison's going to come in a swap deal, even though apparently he's an Arsenal player. Don't get me wrong, lads. I'd love Maddison. I think he's a very good player, but I don't see
fit into our formation though. Like, where does he fit in?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. Why would we spend 60 to 70 million on a player that Conte isn't going to be able to get?
Which is why it would have made sense to get Eriksen, because it's not a risk. You can bring him on if you want to change the dynamic of the game.
The only reason you could argue if it makes sense is because he'd be on a free transfer. But if he's commanding £300,000 a week, £250,000 a week, then it doesn't make sense because that is ludicrous wages.
Who? Eriksen? Are you talking about?
Yeah, Eriksen.
I mean, anyway, David saying, I've been a Spurs fan since 1961, and so I've seen hundreds of thousands of players, some world-class, and although I'm not on a downer with Davies, but his distribution is not great. Do you know what, Dave? I do agree with what you're saying. Like, Ben Davies isn't, spraying the balls around and isn't a world-class player. We all know that. But I think what Jack's been saying is he did a job last year, and I think we can all appreciate that, considering he was filling in a position where he wasn't used to playing necessarily, especially at club level. And I think he did a great job. And I'm honestly just saying, is Longley much better than Ben Davies? Most of you probably will say Longley is better than Ben Davies, and that's fair enough. Let's see. But I'm just saying Ben Davies did a very good job. So Longley will have to be pretty decent to take him out of the team consistently. Don't you agree, Jack?
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally see David's point as well, but I don't think sometimes passing range isn't always the most important things. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely is very important as a position, as a modern day team, especially in a back five. But I think Davies does so much more than just ball playing. Yes, it might not be one of his main strengths, but his defensive side last season, and as well as getting forward in the right positions at times, was crucial last year. And I really don't think we would have got top four without him. But I do agree. I was the first one, James. I hope you can agree with me here that I was saying we need another left centre back. We need a serious defender to come in and compete with Ben Davies so his levels don't drop. I don't think Ben Davies is probably good enough to start week in, week out if we want to compete with the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, potentially in a couple of years.
But then you say that Ben Davies was man of the match against Liverpool in the away game. He was man of the match against one of the other big teams at the end of the season. He did. Listen, you guys all know that I'm not a Ben Davies fan. In fact, I was always saying throughout the season, he's paper over the cracks in a position we need to get a proper player. And for me, if you look back at the podcast, I've said that we haven't got that proper player left centre back. For me, I don't think we have.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But like you could say, Ben Davies was fantastic. I've just said that last year. But Harry Winks was man of the match against Real Madrid. Like, was Harry Winks the best player on the pitch with Ronaldo and that? Like, no, because he doesn't do it week in, week out. Any player can be brilliant for one game. And Ben Davies certainly was over a number of games. But we've seen it before. He has let us down in big moments in the past. And therefore, we need another quality left centre-back. We all hope Lenglet could be the person to push him. So I just think squad depth, I keep saying it's so important. I want one of Gavardi or Bastoni maybe next summer. I still think we need another centre-back this summer. Maybe someone like Bremo who could come and play centrally.
What about Davinson Sanchez? Do you think he has a future? Do you think we'll get rid of him? What do you think on that?
What I mean, if you're at a club like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, they'll be out the door by now. They're not good enough because they're going to go and replace him with someone like De Ligt or another player. That's the new hot take. So I think maybe we need to be a bit more ruthless. Davinson Sanchez is not a bad player. He is a decent footballer, but he hasn't done it. He's not starting for Spurs next year. So you're definitely not taking him over Romero. He's not a ball-playing centre-back. He doesn't hold the line as well as Eric Dyer, and he's not left-footed. Left centre-back, he's had some terrible games. I think in the Europa Conference, I remember, he was terrible there. But he's a good player, but should he be starting week in, week out for Spurs? And if we can get 30 million for him, I think it makes sense for all parties that he moves on and we invest in a player that has the capability to start.
Okay, good. Well said. Well said. Just picking up on a couple more comments. What was the one I was going to bring up? I've already lost it now. Zach's in here. Says big up, lads. Big up, Zach. Thanks for joining. Where was the one? This was it. Louis. I think the fear with Longley is that he could be another Emerson situation. Difference is Longley has shown his class before. I think this is the fear. But when Emerson came in, I was more excited than I was with Longley coming in because I didn't know an awful lot about Emerson. However, I've seen more of Longley, and I just don't think he's an amazing player. Like, I can't wait to come back to this and hopefully be wrong. But
confidence for me, like you say, I'm optimistic about it because I've seen what he's done at Sevilla. He was one of the hottest prospects as a centre half. A club like Barcelona doesn't spend that sort of money on you if they don't see something special. So I'm going to say optimistic, and I'm looking forward to how he performs. And yes, pre-season isn't the be-all and end-all, but a pre-season under Conte who believes in him, someone who is going to get him used to playing with similar surroundings. I'm looking forward to it. I love a bit of pre-season, James. Are you not on that bandwagon?
Yeah, pre-season, I was actually going to suggest and bring it up to the guys watching, obviously. I was thinking of doing a couple of watch-alongs for the games, for the pre-season games coming up on this channel. So if you guys want to see that, let us know in the comments now if you want to see some watch-alongs. Myself and Jack can watch the preseason games coming up and interact with you guys while they're on and talk about how the game's going, tactics, reactions.
He's got man of the match and Jack Clark goals.
Yeah, exactly. Ben Kaufman makes a good point. He's saying I'm worried with signing defenders with no aerial defensive abilities. We needed a Sven Botman. I would have loved Sven Botman. I don't understand how Newcastle got there ahead of us other than money. But I don't know. Pau Torres wanted Spurs. He would be here by now, but with a part swap deal with Lo Celso. I mean, we can talk about outgoings in a little bit, but great show, says Nightcall. Appreciate that. Guys, off topic, have you heard anything about Conor Gallagher? I haven't. Jack?
I have heard a few rumours, sadly not about Spurs. He has been linked with, I think, Everton. Out of all clubs who nearly got relegated last year, Conor Gallagher is apparently reported to be linked with Everton.
They got 60 million now.
Pardon?
They got 60 million to play with now.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I think Conor Gallagher's a great player. I think he's someone who would actually fit in Tottenham's system quite well as well. He can play in that double pivot. He doesn't stop running. He's great from long distance. But would Chelsea sell him to Spurs? Let's be honest, probably not. And I think he'd command a lot of money. And maybe for someone who's not proven it over multiple years, but then again, I like him. I do really like him. He's someone that maybe doesn't give as much thrill factor as we'd like, but he's someone that would fit quite well in our system. James, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, I mean, Conor Gallagher, would he fit well into the system?
Yeah, honestly.
Where's he fitting in there?
I think he plays alongside Basuma. I think he had much needed squad depth. Sometimes Conte likes to play a 4-1-2-1-2, can play in that 10 role, works so hard, runs his socks off. If you look at how much he runs in a game, like kilometres, and we all know we like our stats, he doesn't stop running. I think he'd be really good. I think Conte would love him personally.
I just don't think he would fit along beside Basuma. I don't think he's that defensive player. I think he's more of a number 10, and we don't really play with a number 10 unless we mix it up and do a 5-2-1-2, play more narrow, and then you've got to think, well, Son comes inside, but Son does anyway. I just think he would be an option. I don't think he would ever be in the starting 11.
I think he probably would. But then again,
Over who, though?
Who does he play over? Then again, James, you know me.
You got Kulusevski for Conor Gallagher.
I didn't say it's a right winger, did I? He's a central midfielder.
You have to change.
I think you play in the number 8 role perfectly, alongside Basuma, alongside Højbjerg. Don't get me wrong, you wouldn't play maybe him and Bentancur in the same team, but you would play him alongside Basuma. Let's not forget, Conor Gallagher is not an out. He is. He's not an out-and-out 10, but Conor Gallagher could definitely play in a 2-man midfield, promise you.
2-man midfield?
2-man midfield. Conor Gallagher has the capability and the running and the defensive work rate to play in a 2-man midfield. Yes, he does.
Disagree. Let's see what the chat thinks, because I disagree with that. I don't think Conor Gallagher's fit for a 2-man midfield. He's a number 10. Would you play Dele Alli in a 2-man midfield when he was at his prime?
Number 10, is he? Dele Alli was just behind the striker. Let's not get silly here, James.
No, you're getting silly. Conor Gallagher would not go in a 2-man midfield.
He could.
He would go in a 2-man midfield.
Let's hear it. I want you. Come on, people. Who watch football? Tell me you can play in a 2-man midfield. And there's got
Bobby K's in here. Big up, mate. Loved the video yesterday. I was watching that earlier. David Clark saying Bremer, although right-footed, has played left wing back. He's a big guy as well, Bremer. Kvadio, Carl, big up, mate. Thanks for joining us. Says Kvadio will have that clause next summer for 43 mil, and I wonder what club would do if we came in with 60 now. Yeah, maybe. I
have seen that, but then again, sorry to speak over you, James, but they've probably got a clause then. He's got to stay there for a year, and I think they're not so worried about the financial side. They've got a lot of money. I think their owners are very rich, so I think they just want him for another year for his qualities rather than the money.
Okay. Ben thinks that Bremer's not going to leave Italy until he gets his Italian citizenship. He only has 6 more months to wait, and it will make his life easier. He's going to go to Juve or Inter. Interesting. Skipping through a few more comments. When's the match against the K-League All-Stars? That is next Wednesday at
midday,
12 p.m. or something. Yeah.
Is it midday or 12 at night? One of the. Oh no, that is midday, right?
I think it's a day game here.
That'd be interesting. I'm sure we can bring you some post-match analysis on that.
Cool. Carl saying I still think Pau Torres will happen. Peverton has no pool. Dusty Cottage Club, smallest team in Merseyside in my books. Gallagher is perfect in this Spurs style. Gallagher not for me, so that's 1-1. Dele Alli at the start of the year started as an 8. Yeah, but that was more in a 3-man midfield when we used to play a 4-3-3, wasn't it? So
he played under Nuno in an 8 as a kind of left centre mid. But that's interesting, Alexander Hilton, because I didn't realise he started as an 8. I thought it was always just behind the striker, really, with Kane. That's when he was making late runs into the box. We all saw those fantastic goals against Chelsea, headers, back post. I think that's where Dele Alli's best position was. I would agree that he's not an 8.
I'll be over the moon with Gallagher, especially since I have a Crystal Palace fan that tells me how good he is every week. We need to set our sights higher. Gallagher would be a Levy signing for sure. We need SMS if we really want to
look at I can't say his name. I know who
Milinkovic-Savic.
Italian.
Your boy, 72 million. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry, but Gallagher could fit in very easily. He could play in a 2-man centre mid because he can create something out of nothing and score goals. Just stick Yves Bissouma as the defensive.
Because I watch too much football tonight, and I've seen him play for England. This guy is a serious player, and if you look at his underlying stats, how much he runs off the ball, I think he can play in a 2-man midfield. But I want to hear what more people have got to say. Let's see.
David saying Gallagher is an excellent young player with loads of energy, but Conte likes structure with Gallagher. It's not. I think it's very mixed, Jack. I think it was a good debate.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah, it's fairly mixed.
I think Bremer will come. The news has gone quiet. It says Sandro, but last we heard his agent was in London speaking with Chelsea and Spurs. Be interesting to see potentially how that develops. But Bobby K is saying we need to set our sights higher. It's interesting. There's a couple more comments here. I don't even know if they're some of them I can't even read out from Nightcaller. He's putting all sorts in the chat about clams and all sorts. I don't know what's going on there.
Clash of Clans, really, that's a throwback. But anyway,
clams like the fish. They're not even fish. I've just made myself look like a mug in front of 40 people. But anyway, listen, let's move on and talk. We've obviously just talked about Lenglet for a long amount of time, and then we started to digress and talk about potential options for you, Jack. And this is a question for the chat as well. What do you think is left to be done in this window? I mean, obviously, we've talked about potentially another centre-back, but do you think there's more of a priority here? Maybe, obviously, right wing-back, Spence coming in. Is there players to go out? What do you think needs to happen? Hit the nail on the head. 5 things.
Okay? Well, to be honest with you, James, you know me. I want it all. I want it done this summer. I want to fix our problems, and I think to fix our problems, for us to compete with the very best, for us to play in the Champions League and believe we can compete like we did before in 2019, I think we need right wing-back. Spence, maybe even 2. I would like to see another one come in alongside him if we get rid of one of Emerson and Doherty. Then again, not everything can happen in one window, so maybe just Spence would be good until January. I think we need another centre half alongside Lenglet. I think we need another centre midfielder. I would love, I think we had a little chat here, like you say, SMS or maybe Frankie de Jong would be a brilliant player. I think he looks like he could be going to United or Chelsea. Conor Gallagher, someone's mentioned. More I think about it, I think he'd be a good player, fits the homegrown quota. I think he's probably a bit of a differential to Maddison, and I think he'd probably fit our system slightly better. And I think we need one more forward. I really do. I think 5 proper forwards who can play, all but push each other to the very last. Anyone believe they can get in that starting 11 would be really exciting. So I think I've just said a centre half, a right wing back, maybe another midfielder and another forward. And then for me, we're building a serious squad then.
Okay, and then in terms of options for them, who would your number one option be at right wing back, centre mid, and forward?
Sure. So right wing back, I would. Let's be honest. Everyone knows Hakimi would be a dream for this team. Let's be honest, very unrealistic. So we're going to say Spence for right wing back. Another centre back, I would bring in Bremer. I would him on Koulibaly, but I feel like Koulibaly, don't know, as good as we were last season. I think there's clubs like Chelsea and Barcelona linked with him, and would he probably go to them? They're probably paying higher wages. And Dye's been fantastic, to be fair. So I think Bremer, maybe a slightly younger player, would come in. And then that's right wing back, centre half. Centre midfielder, I would love Milinkovic-Savic. I think he would be a real statement signing. And then another forward. Wow. I don't think we're going to splash as much money as we did before. So I'm going to say, this is a really difficult one. You know what? A lot of people are going to disagree with this one, but I'm going to say it anyway because we've been linked with him over the past couple of days. Memphis Depay. Because, hear me out here, because he can play centrally. He could play in the number 9 role. He has got, albeit not the best, but he has got a bit of Premier League experience. Dutch international. When at the start, when he joined Barcelona, he was absolutely tearing it up. And I feel like he brings that wealth of experience. He's fast. He can play in multiple different roles. And I don't think he would come in and demand a starting space. But do I think he'd work hard for the team if he got on well with Conte and their personalities didn't clash? I think he'd be a very smart addition. And I think we could probably get him for around 20 million euros was a quoted figure I saw.
Wow. Yeah, fair enough. Memphis Depay is one that some of the chat are talking about as well. It's very good points. Carl's saying he'd go for a right wing back, another centre back, creative midfielder, and maybe a striker. Pretty much what you said there.
Yeah, good man, Carl.
Haji's gone for finalising Spence is the next step. Guys, at the end of the day, as long as we keep Chelsea being in both our Prem matches against them, I'll be very happy. Spence would be a good signing for Forest. Be a good signing for us as well. Apparently, Depay rumours are mounting. Another left centre back, says Archie. Is Depay happening? Apparently, the rumours are mounting, but again, we don't report on it till tier 1.
Jack Burford, he called Basuma, he called Richarlison. So can Depay be the third to add to that list? I'm just looking, actually. Is there any movement?
We won't get Depay.
You don't think so, James?
Nah, I don't think we'll get Depay. I just don't. The doubt for me is that he was at Man United for a couple of seasons, wasn't he? And he was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, but he also didn't really have a manager that believed in him. I think he had Louis van Gaal, or was it David Moyes at the time? I just don't think they worked on too well. We've all seen Premier League. Let's be honest, De Bruyne was at Chelsea and didn't get in there looking by Mourinho, and then become one of the best creative midfielders in the world. So it's all about a manager. It's all about belief and all about confidence. And that's why I think players who haven't had their chance yet, don't overlook them, because they can be brilliant players. They're professional football.
If you're going for a forward like that, obviously it's too late and he's gone to Dortmund. But I think Haller would have been good. Although he didn't do well at West Ham, I think he's a proper good player.
But I don't think he can play left wing, right wing. And I really like the idea of players that can play anywhere along the front line. And I think Haller is quite an out-and-out striker. Maybe that's what you
got over Richarlison. Do you think we need even more depth there then?
I think, why not? 100%. I like the idea of people being able to play centrally and out wide, because I think it gives everyone more competition for places. And I think Harry Kane is so pivotal to Spurs that it's going to be hard to have a striker that's close to his ability. Do I think we can have wingers that can push Richarlison, push Kulusevski, push Son? Don't forget they don't stop running all season. They're more likely, touch wood, but they're probably more likely to get injured than Kane. Well, actually saying that, you never know, because Kane gets fouled a lot. But I feel like they're players that you kind of rotate more often, wingers, typically. So that's why I'd bring in someone like Depay.
Okay. David's saying, I still think Spence is Paratici is looking for a higher grade wing back. He's a last resort. Let's sign Stephen Bergwijn, an underrated player, would be perfect in the Prem. I know, he's brilliant. Memphis Depay says Nightcaller. How is the Barca playing these players? How are they linked with anyone? Investigated. Derby got a points deduction for the exact same thing. They got a massive deal with Spotify that got them out of a lot of trouble, I think. And Spotify's all over their kit, their training ground, their stadium. It's called the Spotify Nou Camp now. I think they paid like multi-millions, if not billions. It's ridiculous.
I think I've seen they're going to get an investor for about £800 million to write to full lines as well. It is Barcelona. Let's not forget, the biggest football club arguably in the world. So
they're not.
Who are bigger apart from Tottenham Hotspur?
Real Madrid, I think, are the biggest club in the world.
Okay, well, it's close. I think some people would disagree with that, but some people would definitely agree, like the Conor Gallagher debate.
Okay, let's have this debate right here, right now. Carl's saying I would take Depay and have a friend in Spain that has been seen rumours there. We have put an offer in apparently. Well, Carl is in the know in the chat. Look at that. We need a right wing back, creative midfielder, right back, centre back, and an upcoming striker like Sesko. Said to be the next Holland, so Conte could turn him into that. Sesko. Any ideas on this guy?
Couldn't tell you, mate. To be honest, I like to know my stuff, but Sesko, you're gonna have to fill me in.
It's probably like we're just getting like try to be found out, pretending we know like about a player that doesn't exist or something. Depay is on huge rages. Hey guys, says I complain a lot about THFC. Thanks for joining, mate. Says Depay averages a goal every other game. He's decent for 20 mil. We need to unlock defenses that come to sit. So Maddison or Paqueta is a must for me. Could we spend large to convince Hakimi?
Do you like Paqueta, James? Paqueta.
Do you know, I'm not seen enough of him. I've heard a lot of, I heard he's quite liked in that league in Ligue 1, but yeah, good playing for Lyon. I don't know. Not too sure. He's always a risk from that league. You either get like a, lack of threat, or you get a very good player, from that league. So it's an absolute gamble in Ligue 1, isn't it?
And you end up spending a lot of money. We saw Lacazette. I think he went for nearly close to 60 million, and Ndombele spent our record transfer on. So let's be honest, they don't come cheap, these players.
Yeah, Barcelona is very small. Madrid are much bigger, and having Lionel Messi as your GOAT is a disgrace. Ban to club. Live in Leicester, and Maddison is going nowhere. David is adamant with the caps as well. Paqueta is a genius. 77 games for Lyon, 21 goals, 13 assists. That's 34 goal contributions. He's been Brazilian's best midfielder in years. I'm not sure I agree with that one. But I can agree with the other comment, but not that one. That is.
To be honest, maybe I'm being a bit not very. What's the word? Fortuitous. 34 contributions.
Fortuitous. That's a long word for you at this time, Joe.
34 goal contributions. I think that's unbelievable.
Archie saying, could we spend?
Do you think that's groundbreaking records in Ligue 1?
I don't want Paqueta, so there we go. Can we spend large to convince Hakimi is the question I want to quickly go on to.
Yeah, we have to. This guy, I think.
No, that's not the question. I'm saying, do we think we could do it? Do we think we can?
I'm just looking out for fortuitous to make sure I haven't just said a load of rubbish. I've been doing a bit of journalism, so I'm getting the fancy words, and maybe I've completely missed the boat. But anyway.
So the question is, do you think we can spend large to convince Hakimi to come to Spurs?
I think we 100% should, and I do think we would, to be fair. I think, why wouldn't you?
Could we? Can we do it?
That's what I'm getting to it. I think we will. I think we can. I think we would if we could convince Hakimi to join, but I think he's probably happy at PSV.
Okay. David is still in cap. Pardon?
Do you disagree with that? Do you not think we'd
I don't think we're going to get Hakimi. I don't think we're going to have to spend about 70 mil. I don't think it's going to happen.
Fair enough.
David saying my postman is the Vardy lookalike and has his own list of podcasts. Shut up, it's it. No way. Hakimi would turn heads if we got him. Teams would dread to play us with the signings and players we already have. That would be a statement. I have to agree with you, Zach.
Exactly agree.
Complaining about THC is saying, who is Hakimi?
Mate, come on. You should know this.
This guy loves Paqueta, though. Check him out. He's brilliant. I'd like to see a buy clause for Lenglet introduced. Do you think it was Spurs that wanted the no clause or Barca?
Very good question. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I would suggest it be Spurs. I would say well, actually, if Lenglet is amazing, then they might try to raise a bit of stock and get some money for him. So it could be either team, to be honest with you, mate.
Okay. And Carl's saying, Hakimi, yes, please, 100%. Go big or go home. If we want to be a big club, we have to try, and that's the facts. Jack, I'm thinking maybe one question to wrap it up for the chat. Keep it interactive, as we always like to do here at Spurs Related. Got a question for the chat. It's over to Jack Burford's golden time.
Okay, you put me on the spot here. Let's think of a good one. I want to know.
What's fortuitous mean? What does that mean?
That's a good one, James. Thank you for that, mate. We'll ask Joe McBride, our fellow journalist. No, my question for you guys is, you have got one more signing for the summer. You have got a £60 million budget, and I want to know who you're bringing into Tottenham Hotspur. Get it in. Get it in the comments. Let me and James know. And while we're waiting,
60 million.
60 million to spend. Any position. Only can buy one player to add to this already relatively impressive transfer window. Who are you bringing in? That's what I want to know. James, we started off with you. I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Straight in. I'm going to do hard bargaining, like hard bargaining, and getting Hakimi for 60 million.
Even though you wouldn't spend that much on a right wing back, but you've changed your mind now.
When did I say
I
that?
remember in previous streams, you were like, we don't spend that much money on a right wing back, but I like
Because
that.
at the time, I said we should spend that money on left centre back, and it's not going to happen because we've just got Longley.
Okay.
If we didn't buy Longley, I'll be saying Bastoni right now.
I like it. Fair enough. Completely fair enough.
And now I'm going for the second most priority, which is right wing back. As we know, Emerson isn't good enough.
I would
Doherty, questionable.
I'd probably argue. Actually, that is another great question for the chat. Once you told me, I want to know what is a more important position next year: left centre back, right wing back, Doherty or Ben Davies need replacing. Which one? Or which one do we need to add?
So it's not really Doherty, just Doherty. It's Emerson.
Of course, but I'm just thinking probably everyone on the best form. I'm sure we can all agree Doherty was better than Emerson. Can we not?
Yeah. No, yeah. Let's see what the chat is saying. Here we go. There's already a few comments coming in. This guy, Paqueta's #1 fan. I love it. I actually love it. Wait, hang on. I've missed some comments. I reckon 70 mil for Kimi is worth it, especially when you see what he did under Conte at Inter. Paqueta can play on the left or right of midfield, and also he can play box to box tracking. And as a playmaker, a striker. Hakimi used to play for Inter and has gone missing ever since joining a small oil club called, correct me if I'm wrong, P$G. Brilliant. Zach's going Hakimi. David's going Martinez. I might have to change it, but then again, we've signed Richarlison.
I don't think we can get Martinez in for 60 million. Not a chance.
I think it'll be 80, 90.
90. I think it'd be 90. Honestly, no chance. I think Inter see him as Conte.
But David's given him Lo Celso and Ndombele and
don't get me wrong. The question was 60 million, but if it was 90 million, then I'll definitely give you Martinez David because I think he's a fantastic player. But do we need him? Would he come in with the competition he'd be facing?
Archie's going Bastoni if we can convince. Kev saying I would have loved Bastoni. Klaus at right wing back. Hakimi is the most important, as rumours came out tonight that Doherty has been told he can go. That would spice things up.
I wonder where that Carl, but interesting.
Carl's in the know. David saying next year right wing back. David, you're on caps lock still, fella, by the way.
He's just excited about what he's telling us, James. Yeah. He's buzzing. He's got his beer and he's happy.
Kept saying the last third of the season, Doherty was smashing it. Agreed. And Malik from Facebook said, "Who is going to be our creative player?"
Jack
is all for
number 10 role. He'd do a good job. If you see my free kick, I know you have James. But anyway, who would be the creative player out of them all? You'd probably argue Bentancur is the most creative currently. But who would I like to see add to that? I think Conor Gallagher or maybe James Maddison, maybe Paqueta, as our fellow friend in the chat tells us how good he is. They'd probably be the sort of creative players that can probably do both roles better. If I could have any of them, I'm going to quickly have this question with the chat and yourself, James. If you could have one of Paqueta, James Maddison, I'll give you James Maddison, Conor Gallagher. Which one are you choosing?
Milinkovic-Savic.
I didn't give you that answer, mate. I want to know about them three.
So Conor Gallagher, Maddison, or who?
Paqueta.
Oh, Maddison, 100%.
Fair enough. Okay, I'll take Gallagher. But anyway.
Yeah, but he's Chelsea scum. Right, anyway.
Even though he's never made a first team appearance, but anyway. Right.
He's Chelsea. You can't take the Chelsea out of a Chelsea boy. As much as I respect Davies for covering us, I personally think he's going to be sold next transfer window and we will bring in Pau Torres. Or Bastoni if available. We definitely need Torres though. Zach loves Torres. I like Pau Torres as well. Little question that you've brought out. 3 answers you gave, 3 options. Paqueta fans gone Paqueta. David's gone Maddison. And Zach's gone Conor Gallagher. He's 1-1 on all of them on that front. Actually, Malik put Maddison as well. So 2-1 Maddison on that front. But, by the way, Jack threw it in there, little beside the side comment that made no sense. His free kick, we will bring it up on screen next episode. Look forward to that. We'll have Jack Burford's free kick on the screen.
There's another one that was recorded last week. Little plug there, but I did score another free kick last week, James. I haven't told you that, mate. But yeah,
show me that.
I promise you. I'll have to send it to you after this.
Oh, looks like we need James Ward-Prowse or Jack Burford on the free kick.
We actually going to show this? Because, guys, I tell you what, once you see this, you're going to get your notepads out. Think, look at the technique. Get him in the starting 11. Harry Kane, call me. But anyway.
said on Talksport we were reporting about Doherty. I couldn't like Talksport. I will never, ever, ever believe as a tier 1 source, Cole. But
Aaron
let's.
telling me he's not tier 1.
I would take Madison as well because I'm greedy. Absolutely love it. But no, it's been great talking points today. Great discussions. We've talked everything about Lenglet. We've talked about who could potentially come in next, which is interesting. And of course, very, very quickly, Jed Spence apparently has been agreed on is it a £15 million fee as well, Jack? We haven't got the here we go on this one. It's still up in the air, but apparently, I can see it happening.
We bidded another 2 million, but we're still just behind the valuation, was the last thing I heard. But David Ornstein, or it was either David Ornstein, or I think it was Dan Kilpatrick, actually said we're locked in talks. And when we're locked in talks, the players don't escape and the deal gets done. That's one thing I Daniel Levy. Let's not forget, I remember him saying to some people, you're not leaving this building till we get the deal over the line. So I'm sure I think Spence wants the deal to happen. I think Tottenham want the deal to happen. I think it's not a smokescreen. I just think we're waiting to don't make sure we don't overpay and we bring him in the door. And I hope it's before pre-season.
Okay. A little update on this. It says Middlesbrough previously turned down offers of 10 million and 11 million, but are settling on a 15 million pound fee up front, which could reach £20. That'd be nice. £20 million of after instalments. Spurs are edging towards an agreement in principle with Championship club Middlesbrough for the England under 21 international after weeks in negotiations, and expect to seal the signing before this weekend. So potentially we could have some news on that tomorrow. I'm calling it now.
I read something similar earlier. It's not breaking.
This was a couple of days ago from John Percy at the Telegraph's tier 1 source, but they're expecting to agree it all and sign the deal before this weekend. So could honestly...
just to quickly, I totally agree. Good source. But then there's also good sources like I think from Football London, Rob Guesty said it's not near happening. I think Paul O'Keefe, some people would argue he's a good guy on Twitter. Maybe not, we'd say tier 1, but he said this is not happening. Reports around Tottenham. So it's quite differentiating views here. But let's wait and see. Only time will tell.
Okay. Come on, just get this Spence deal done, says Carr. It's making me think of Leonardo Damao. Do you remember? Every window would be linked with that Brazilian striker. Talksport is the poor man's Sky Sports. Mark Goldbridge made it relevant. Complaining a lot about THFC is saying, do another hour for crying out loud. Do you know what? I'd love to. Work commitments and everything else. I can't, but we will do a live tomorrow, won't we, Jack? We'll promise that to the fans.
We will. We certainly will. Let's do it. Friday night. What is Friday night, James? Quickly, is there a quiz, or are we going to do one like we did tonight? What are you thinking?
Let's see what the chat want. Guys, do you tomorrow want a quiz, or do you want some more transfers update? It could be a transfer update video, considering if Spence, of course, any news comes out on that. Darren Bent is a tier -10 source. David saying my postmate is genuinely the Vardy look like. I'm not lying. I agree, mate. I'm agreeing.
All in caps. Love it.
I'm honest. I'm not excited by Spence. And complaining a lot. Says you guys are naturals, lads. Well spoken, wide vocabulary, and great show. Keep it up. Really, really appreciate that, mate. Really appreciate the kind words. And of course, Jack's vocabulary's come on so much this week. He's saying words he doesn't even know.
I actually do know. Sometimes we like to clarify here, James. I thought we're tier 1 source, and we want to make sure we're giving the right information. So I'll be butting on that.
Yeah, Carl's saying we know Jack loves a quiz after Kerry and Sean. He wouldn't be happy with that. Transfer update, guys. Malik, thanks for joining, mate. But we have literally just swung through it. A little top liner. Clement Lenglet to Spurs is here we go. It's done according to Fabrizio Romano. That is, 100% certainly happening. It'll be announced soon. Jed Spence is very close to being agreed, and everything else is pretty much just up in the air at the moment, to be honest with you. But that's your 2 updates really on that. Transfer update, please. I hate quizzes. Wow. Okay, well. Maybe we can do both, Jay. How about that?
What on the quiz?
I said, sorry?
What happens if we get Paqueta on the quiz, I said?
Yeah, we'll get a Paqueta question on. You'll love the quiz, mate. We'll get you on that. Zach saying everyone smash the like button. Exactly what I was going to say next. There is 30 of you watching right now, which is great support again, guys. Really do appreciate it. Smash that like button. There's 25 likes on the video. Surely we can get that to 40 before the window ends. Crumbs. Before the video ends, I was going to say. Absolutely love it. So let's get that to 40. And Carl's saying love a quiz. Bring it on. But guys, we will do a video tomorrow, whether it's a quiz or whether it's a transfer news update, stay tuned around 7, 8 UK time. Just look on your sub box. Or actually, another thing that I always forget to tell you guys is if you go on to if you're watching the live video now, if you're on your phone and you click on our channel, you can actually turn notifications on. I'm pretty sure you guys all probably know how to do that. There's me sitting there having absolutely no idea how to do it from my phone, but I know there's definitely a way of doing it through the channel.
A bell button. If you click on that, I'm pretty sure you're up to date.
There you go. I think it's because I'm signed. I think it's because I'm signed in. But if I sign in on another account, pretty sure you just search our channel, and then there's a little button right there. Oh, can you see? Little button there. Smash that bell, and you will know exactly when we next go live, which will be tomorrow. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for joining. Thanks for your comments and opinions, and the guys that have stayed throughout the whole video. Really do appreciate that, and all the great talking points. It creates great discussions with myself and Jack, and obviously Andre when he's here as well. As we said again, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Jack, thanks so much for joining me again today.
Anytime, mate. I've had a great time. I think we've had a lot of good debates, as we always do, James. We always have a bit of a laugh, me and you. We have a little laugh, a lot of facts, and a lot of good talking points. And to be honest, no one else I'd rather chat Spurs with, mate.
Love it, mate. Thanks, mate. And Carl saying had notifications on since you first started. Plain saying best Spurs chat show on the net. Really appreciate that, mate. Really, honestly, kind words. And Kev saying well done, lads. But everyone else, have a great evening. Keep your eye on the Spurs news on our socials. Smash the like, subscribe, and we'll be back again tomorrow, as always. And you know the rest, guys. Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, Spurs!
In Conte we trust.